Looks like we're live. Who all is in here? Looks like Unfinished Project was here at 10:30 this morning. Well, that's cool. Danny Boyd, Rapid Transit J, then Twisted Mopar Dennis came back closer to time. Rich GT 350R. All you exotic people with all the numbers and letters after your car, that's pretty cool. Dean Stevenson is here. Of course, Dean is here. I don't know how Dean keeps up with it since he's on the other side of the universe, but he does pretty good with that. NSB, mostly old Partron Ward. How's it going? I see that Ron has recovered from our weekend of shenanigans. Enough to post anyway. Fire Pinto. Wendy English and Don English of Camp One-Eyed Cat. Mohawk 62 is here. Pure Pontiac Garage. Unfinished Project, since he's going to have a lot of new friends once Busted Radio Garage hits 5,000. If you guys are not aware of that, Busted Radio Garage is giving away a 4-post lift at 5,000 subscribers. So if you've not checked that out, go over there and check it out. Turbo Tom 416, the fellow that was driving around the 1916 Model T on the grounds of Jeffers Motorsports Park. And there's Bad Tree Productions Blake saying Heathens Assemble. Very cool. Glad you're here, man. Fantastic showing by the Bad Tree Camp again this year. As always, those guys bring it. J-Bo is here. Buff Del Campo says Kim and I are here. Well, that's cool. Mostly old parts and rust. Patrick is here. Jackie Abbott. Baker of Fine Cookies. I should say those are, I guess I can say those are the official cookies of the No Name Nationals. They're outstanding. Hey, my mom is here. Levi's Backyard Performance. Sherry is here. Heavens Mopar Scott. Gosh, Scott, you probably just got home 5 minutes ago, and now you're on the live. Rob's Rods and Streetcars. Mater's Workshop. Yeah, Mater hit me up to be on his live on Monday, and I'm like, man, I am a couple of days from even being back yet. So sorry I could not make that, Mater. Old McDonald has a car. Daddy's Money Garage. Troy and I are on a road trip. Boy, that sounds dangerous. Ron Ward says, what's up? Lunar Outlaw Garage. Time for the after action report, I believe. Yes, indeed. So in firearm training, we always we do an after action report of everything. And anyway, I can carry that over to this. Who's Your Garage is here. Colleen is here. My goodness, we got 58 in the house already. B&R is here. B&R. I heard you were telling everybody about how you conquered at the No Name Nationals. Glad you were there and had a good time. Indirect Connection Jason. There's Just Mopar Joe. Joe threw the house at it. Had a fast car there. He had a Hammer in Sykeston. Dude Mopar, how's it going? Glad you came up from Florida. Kim is here. Andy from Unity Motorsports Garage. Tony's Hot Rod Garage. Scarlett the Four-Eyed Cuda. Looks like you all had a great time. I think so. Frankenstein C20. Bigfoots and Mopars. JB, the Smoke Wrench. Half-Wit Labs. Saw him rolling around filming. DNR says I've wanted to go racing again all week. Well, cool. Busted Radio Garage is here. You know, I do like to take the time to thank you guys, every one of you, for coming out, because it's Friday. There's a lot of things you could do with your Fridays besides sit here and hang out, but you come here and I appreciate it. So thank you. Yeah, mostly old parts and rust. Thanking Tony for the awesome hat. Indeed. You're going to see that hat. I'm sure you're going to see it on this channel live and such soon. But in addition to making the monogram staff, for the No Name Nationals, he also made us some hats, some prototype hats. So we'll be talking more about the hats soon. And really, the biggest reason I didn't wear the hat there is because people probably wouldn't recognize me with a hat. I'll blend in with everybody else. People have been trying to find me the whole event. So it worked. I wasn't hiding. Old car guys here. Good to see you. Clayton's Toolbox. All right. Got 65 in here. Sam Mountain Ballistics. BNR. That's the first time I made a pass in little 3. All right. Let me get caught up here. Big Hoopty Mike, because I got a new hat in Sykeston myself. Yes, Hoopty Mike. Should put that in a video. Mike is always styling with the hat. Well, anyway, thank you all for being here. Just wanted to say hi. I figured today on the live, I would try to debrief the event from my perspective a little bit. I offered to Dallas to swing by. Dallas has got obligations tonight, but I just thought I would do this since I figured a lot of people have a lot of questions. This is not about stats or anything like that. And frankly, a lot of stats I don't even have. I balanced the books for the event. Actually, this morning, it took me 2 days just to rest up from this thing. It's just unbelievable. I mean, in the heat, getting up at about 4:30, 5 o'clock every morning and going to bed after midnight every day. You do that for 8 days straight, which is what it is for me. It's a little over a week. Man, it took more out of me than I realized, but that's okay. I love it, and I'd do it all over again tomorrow. But I just figured I would. Fire Pinto said it took me all week to rest up. Right, I'm telling you, it's really, it takes a lot out of you, but it's great. It's worth it. So I figured I'd just give you kind of a rundown of things as I saw them, and along the way, some behind the scenes stuff from this event. I will say that, Patrick just telling us I'm being up late. I got reports about how late that camp was up. But now I will say there's a lot of stats I don't have and don't even keep. I will say that I know the car count was higher because I had very few spaces in between. I was up to number 116 on my car numbers. So we had more cars there this year than last, which totally jibes with when you look around in the pits. The pits were fuller this year than last. The gate was bigger this year than last. It looks like the event scaled up a little bit all across the board. Well, thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. Ron Ward thanking me for helping making the event happen. Well, Ron, you helped make the event happen too. Everybody here, everybody you see in the chat, everybody you saw on the grounds, and a lot of people you don't see help make the event happen. So we thank you too. But the event looks like it's scaled up a little bit on everything. I can say that the heads-up racing was a little bit lighter because a lot of guys broke their cars on Friday. That is a downside of having your heads-up race on the Saturday when a lot of the hammers want to race and what's going on Friday with call-outs too. But that's okay. That's fine. Everything else seemed to scale up. The bracket, of course, was very competitive, as was expected. It was competitive running for low ET this year. Cars weren't as fast, but they were closer together. And it was an exciting racing. The Burnout contest, of course, was off the chain. I don't think any Burnout competition in the country holds a candle to what we did there. So, yeah. Busted Radio Garage, I missed the pick. Got to get in next year. Yeah. So make sure to jump in the picture. That picture's a lot of fun. Left the track a little cleanup to do, but it was picture's always fun. But the event did scale up. The conduct was good. Didn't have any fights, any problems. I specifically made it a point. I talked to everybody there, okay? Whether they take out trash, clean bath, work session, work the tower, work the water box, the gate, everybody, participants, as many spectators as I can, just walking around the grounds. I try to make it a point to talk to everybody I come across down there, and try to get a gauge on how it's going from their perspective. And I made sure that you guys were treating everybody right, like the concession stand employees and all that. And they all said the same thing, that you guys were very kind to them and generous. And I know the tip jar was stuffed pretty well at concessions that weekend, far more than usual. So we want those guys to know it is a pretty long weekend working an event that's that big, but we wanted them to know we appreciated them. And you guys ate the concession stand out of bacon. I found out from the kitchen manager that they tried to prepare and have everything, but I know that was one thing they ran out of was bacon. So right on. Uh, the grounds looked great. I did a survey of the grounds on Sunday morning. And man, there was hardly any little odds and ends blown from the wind. You guys left it extremely clean again, even in the grass. I think we could improve a little bit on cigarette butts, but man, wrapper bottles, that kind of thing. I mean, next to nothing. It was really clean. So you guys did an excellent job, and thank you. Um, Blake says there's plenty of armadillos could have substituted for that bacon. Maybe so. You do see them in Tennessee. I don't know if you see them in Missouri, but I have started seeing them in Central Tennessee. Twisted Mopar had a good time. Had to roll out Friday evening. Yeah, understood. That's cool. Glad you were there. Yeah, and Punisher Lamont picked up anything I saw Sunday. Yeah, that's a really good point. You guys are very conscientious like that, and even when I'd see some on the ground that certainly wasn't mine, I don't mind picking it up. Uh, Ron English is the same way. We have a really good group like that. So thank you for that. That was huge. But I got there Tuesday evening, pretty late. I mean, probably 11 p.m. or after, something like that. And then Wednesday morning, really early, I went over to start setting up. People were rolling in as early as Wednesday. That was a big change this year from last, is that we definitely have more people coming in earlier than last year. We had a lot of people there on Wednesday. I don't know how many, but it was a considerable number of people already in the pits and set up on Wednesday. So, which is fine, as long as we get the opportunity to set up. That's all cool. But that was the beginning of setup, and we got our banners and all of that stuff. We got our big sign up out front, which was so much easier this year because there was some rain earlier in the week. That ground was like concrete last year. This year, the sign went up a little easier. Poor Dallas and I thank Mother Nature for that one. Most of the old parts wrong. Ward says No Name Nationals is more than just a drag race. We proved that to Jeffers Motorsports Park. Lynn was impressed by the event, had no idea what to expect. Yeah, Lynn, I think nothing bad about Lynn. I think we won her over on what the event is about during the event, though. Like Barkley, they're like, they you hear a bunch of YouTubers are coming and they just it's one of these things you kind of need to see to get it. But yeah, once you've been there and experienced, it's like, yeah, this makes sense now. This is fun. So Lynn is an ally of ours in trying to keep this event rolling like that, and I appreciate that. But Wednesday was a long day of setup. It was fun though. We got the track signs up and all that good stuff. Thursday setup was great. Tech went very well. I talked with Deke Denny about Tech, and there were a few cars that had some things they had to work on to pass Tech. Not everybody passed Tech, but it was okay. No arguments, nothing like that. Again, you guys' conduct came shining through. And some of you got some things you need to do to come back next year. Some of your cars were faster this year than last. You got some things to do. But overall, Tech went very well. Tech was it was a little tighter this year than last, as it should be. We didn't have things like people showing up without drive shaft loops who needed them. We didn't have things. We were much better on having cracked windshields and that kind of thing. And Deke, I think, is really good about cutting people the right amount of slack, but without giving the wrong, uh, giving people pass and that kind of thing. So he's good like that. And you guys appreciated that, and you came more ready this year than last. And I expect you'll be on the right path to do even more for next year. So we're happy with that. Um, Tech went really well. The cruise to Lambert's is was again a huge hit. My gosh, I would be really interested to know what the people count was going through Lambert's. My gosh, we bumped the cruise up an hour. I left a few minutes after 5, earliest I could possibly leave on Wednesday. The line was already out the door, wrapped around the building. The line was still wrapped out in the street about 7:45. Um, it was an incredible crowd that packed into Lambert's on Thursday. And the car show, you know, last year we pretty much filled up the west side lot. I didn't want to take up the east side if we weren't going to be as full, but we were even fuller than last year. So I think you guys have squeezed yourself out of the west side lot of Lambert's. And so we're going to need more room for next year. And there's more room available, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It means you showed up in even more numbers. So that will probably be the case for next year. Joe says he wanted to drive it. I'm assuming that Duster. Yeah, that Twisted Mopar garage Duster with those huge tires. Looks like you could put anything to it you wanted to. Ron English is talking about 2.4s for next year. A lot of people are going to step up what they do for next year. But the cruise to Lambert's was great. Good conduct. I didn't see any people getting crazy or anything, and I appreciated that. And we had our drive-in style movie, and that thing, it surprised me because I'm sitting up front just because I like to sit up front. I've always done that in college. I always sat on the front row. I like not having any distractions behind me, but made it hard for me to gauge how many people were even at the movie. But what I kept hearing is in the pits is that there were people watching the movie from their pits. That screen was so big. Like I know that Cope and Tony's Hot Rod Garage and that crew, they could watch it from the pits, which is true. I saw that screen sitting back there, and yeah, so it's really hard to know how many people went to the movie. But the as far as the technical part and the setup was great. Um, oh, there's a banner moment. BNR says no complaint. Well, that's awesome. I'm really glad you did, and I appreciate you coming out, Brian. But the movie, man, the screen was great. Art Flicks was awesome to deal with. The sound was great. I had no complaints about the way that set up and ran. So, if we do that for 2024, we know the people. Yeah, Ron says our server at Lambert's was like, wow, we're never this busy during the week. Exactly. So Dallas and I ran recon on that last year to see what it was like on a Thursday at exactly the same time. We planned that and said, okay, this is perfect because Thursday at 6 p.m. is pretty quiet here. It used to be. It can be that way the other 51 weeks a year. Let's see. Bad Tree Blakes could see it from the bathroom with the door open. Oh, okay. That'll work. Andy Woods says the No Name National is a special event, unlike anything else out there. Well, it is unlike anything else out there. Hate that I missed this year. Well, Andy, we want to see you again. So the orange paper will have a number here before you know it. And that orange paper's number will never sleep. You know how that works. Fire Pinto didn't make it with the race car, barely with the RV, but glad he made it. Yeah, right on. DNR, I'm well aware of that. So here's the deal with the porta potty. So I wanted to accommodate a few people who I knew would be there with wheelchairs. Uh, and Bad Attitude C10 Blake is not only in a wheelchair, he's an amputee, and I believe he's a double amputee. So that guy needs some accommodations. So I put that down there in the field where his end of the pit was. The problem is, it's one of these things, no good deed goes unpunished. Well, everybody else is like, hey, this is better than walking up. Between that and also the bar was closed, which the bar being closed was a good thing in some ways, but it also, you didn't have the extra restrooms the bar offers. So we're going to work on that for next year. Believe me, we will. Like anything else, we do it, we see where we need to improve, and we will. So that situation will be better next year. Although I told the track manager, I says, hey, think you can talk Larry into actually building another set of restrooms at the end of the pit? Might be a big ask because this is the biggest event that goes to Jeffers Motorsports Park, I believe. I know the Boot Hill Drags, Gas and Drags is pretty big, but I think this is the biggest one they have there. So, but it would be nice for those bigger events to have an extra set of restrooms at the other end of the pits. So we will see. Mopars, Mustangs, and minivans. How do you figure 52 weeks? If it's on the same weekend next year, wouldn't it be 51? But anyway, um, that's a situation with that. Now, as for Friday, Friday was fun. Of course, we did our group photo, which is always fun. We had some things we had to work out. You guys know they've been thrashing on the timing system all week. I will say, big shout out to Beacon Dragway. He came over to help with what we needed for the timing system. And Dom and Lynn's husband and Lynn, they worked on it all week out there, making sure they had lightning. For those who don't know, Jefferson lightning strike actually hit their timing system several weeks before the notice, and they couldn't get their timing running again until our event was the first event out there with timing in weeks. They'd done a little bit of no prep and arm drop stuff, but there was no timing system for weeks, many, many weeks. So, yeah, got it running. Everything worked. But it took a real thrash to make that happen, but I'm glad it did. But we had some stuff we had to work through on Friday morning, caused us to be a little bit late getting the track hot. But you know what? The track went hot. Everything was good. Uh, the traction left a little bit to be desired. I know that. I've heard you loud and clear. Um, from what I understand from people more knowledgeable than I, and one thing I did on Thursday is I walked the track with Andrew Nelson, Rick Jure. I figured we would walk the track, check it out. And the biggest thing I think is just where it hadn't had cars, nearly as many cars run down it in the weeks before. The track was not as seasoned and ready to go. It was already coming around. We ran a lot on it on Friday, so it was really coming around as the event went on. But that's just, we live and we learn. And this is the kind of thing, lightning striking a timing system before an event. I don't think this is a likely thing to happen again, but we've learned. So, that's the idea. We'll overcome that. But yes, we know that the traction wasn't the greatest. We know that it was certainly better in the left lane for a lot of the day, but we're going to work on that because I know that last year it would pull you out of your shoes. So we're getting there. We're getting there. But Friday, overall, Friday went really well. A lot of racing. Big shout out to T's Good Time Garage. Trailered all the way from Utah to come out there and run in our bracket race. And T was definitely a worthy winner of the second annual bracket race. Let me tell you, there's no gimme. There's a lot of guys that are good racers in that bracket. And T won it. So 38 POS races have been clocked but never timed. Yeah, I bet you've been clocked. Clocked at 75 to 55 or something like that, right? Do Mopar Joe, just Mopar Joe 660s, you're doing 150s. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that there's the 60-foot left something to be desired, that's for sure. But I will say Dallas got it figured out. Dallas was running really good. His car was set up and it was running good. A lot of people's were. Most of the old parts and Russ still have personal bests in both ET and Mountain Howard, as did Ricky Gervais, I believe, and several others. Yeah, Bad Tree Productions does TV, but he's a good racer. Yes, he is, and a super nice guy. Um, he comes back to defend in 2024. New Mopar says Dallas got a bad ride. Yes, he does. You know, it's funny about that with Dallas. I've been to Dallas's house many times, stayed there. I've only seen that car before this event. Just he's picked up one cover in the garage. I've seen just enough to know there actually was an 88 T-Bird in his garage, but I've never seen it until he had it there. But he had described what was in it and the way it runs and sounds and all. Yeah, he's everything he's described it as being. But yeah, yeah. Most of the old parts. This is a good point. Most of the old parts. Ron Ward says I talked with Dan, the Waterbox man. He was stickers. Dan is one of the staff members to track who just works hard on his feet, doesn't complain, running the water box. And he said, yeah, man, I'd love to have your channel stickers put on the back window of my car. I said, well, sure, we can probably work that out. So, yeah, we wanted to do that for him. He's one of the unsung heroes of that event he took out trash. He ran the water box. We appreciate Waterbox Dan. But Friday was good. Friday, we have our bracket champion. Then we go off to the Burnout competition. Now, the Burnout competition, we'll back up a little bit to Wednesday and Thursday. So Roadrunner Safety Services says I am the only guy who rents those barricades because it's so unusual. Usually it's like construction companies doing it, and a lot of them have their own. I'm like the only guy. When I call in there, they know exactly which guy it is that needs those and for what. So believe it or not, barricades in all of that area. There were a total of 30 of the water barriers, the orange water barriers, that they had anywhere in the state, and 15 of them were in Kansas City. I said, well, that's not tenable. But what he did have is he had 15 that were there last year that were in bad shape, needed to be decommissioned anyway. But what we did do is we got 40 of the sand flower pots. So we had them for car control, and then we had the orange barricades for crowd control. It worked out great. We had just what we needed. The only catch is that it was kind of labor intensive. So we waited till we had a big old bunch of people there on Thursday to come fill it. And I can't thank that crowd enough. And I don't want to leave anybody out, but there's a few I'll just off the top of my head. The English boys, Brian English, Ron English, Don English, always the first to help. Those guys can't volunteer fast enough when we've needed help. Brad from Poor Boys and his crew, the NSB guys, Scott, Heaven Mopar Scott, man, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I just think of all those guys that are like, yep, we're here, we'll help. And they helped us get all set up. And it was a huge help. I will say, I didn't shovel much sand on Wednesday morning. I did not, because I knew I would be getting rid of all of it on Monday morning, and I did. So it was just Dallas and I. Dallas running the lull and me emptying the sand barrels. So don't worry, I got mine. But for all of you who helped us get that set up, that was huge. But with all those many hands, it made light work. And we'll think about that. We have to have a good, safe barrier for the Burnout competition, and we did. So thanks again to all of you who helped us with that. What I guess is Daddy's money heard what a shovel was, kind of. Punisher Lamont says, I think there needs to be a bounty on Torque Racing Productions next year. Well, if there is, the house will not put a bounty on anybody, but if there is a bounty, we don't mind promoting a good-natured bounty like that. NSB says we moved over 15,000 pounds of sand. Yes, we did. Math on that. It was a lot. It's a lot of tons of sand. You'd be surprised how little the volume looks like, but how much the weight is. So yeah. So we did that. Burnout competition was outstanding. You guys are not exactly the easiest on the pavement, but you really throw down and put on a good show, and things were good. I know. I just the aftermath of that watching Barkley. I should have been videoing him. He was running the sweeper on the track, the big brush, and just the amount of that stuff, the rubber. You don't believe how much that volume that generates. Um, it was unbelievably more this year compared to last. So he was running the tractor, just mountains of that stuff would pile up at the other end. There were places where the just the balled up rubber that wore off the tires was over 2 inches deep, which is just unreal to me, but it really was. Um, so that definitely bigger and wilder than 2022. And 2022 was nothing to sneeze at. That was a good burnout competition, but 2023 was wild. And I see no sign of anybody backing off for 2024. So I see lots of our burnout guys in here, like Mo Parral. Um, that was a wild competition. Daddy's made us. Troy was robbed. Troy was in the finals. What can I say? Busted Radio Garage is I had new snow tires on Linda left in there. Yeah, yeah. It was pretty wild. Technician Troy says, "Shut up, Austin." I got to tell you, Technician Troy really put on a show, and he was a worthy award winner, and we'll get to that. But yeah, I like the way we did the judging this year. Had a representative of several of the camps, and I expect we'll do it that way again next year. But let me tell you, your best chance of winning next year is you've really got to bring it. Bad Tree Blake says most of it was a four-door dart and some face hugger catfish. I got to tell you, I personally really like Jeremy's burnout. That lap he made. He said that just he didn't take a nap after that. It's so much work keeping that thing, working that circle. That's not easy, but he did it. Um, but yeah, that was a wild burnout. Of course, Roland throws down. Roland puts his heart into everything, and you can see that. Uh, no power says the truck will be back for next year's burnout competition. White Trash Motorsports Sam, how's it going, buddy? He he was just in a tough financial situation there and couldn't make it. We understand, my man. Looking forward to having you back next year if you can make it. Love to see you. Sam was great. Last year, he really, man, he brought the show, has a great attitude, great example, and we really hope Sam can make it back in 2024. But the burnout competition was great, safe. There was a mild amount of carnage, mostly just tires, but burnout competition was wonderful. So we wake up Saturday morning, and for me, I have to go do paperwork each night on different things. But Saturday morning it was kind of like the calm before the storm. We went hot a little earlier and ran our eliminators, ran our heads up, ran our monkey bike. Uh, good stuff on Saturday. I know that the pit track was pretty wild Saturday. Just Mopar Joe, for those who didn't see it, he had some transmission problems. Wound up swapping out a valve body in the pits. Uh, so Joe had to make that happen. And we're not used to seeing Joe thrash live because we're used to Joe having everything together, getting everything done ahead of time and all of that. So that was kind of neat. Joe showed, hey man, I have these moments too, but like you'd expect, he rallied and made it happen. So um, we saw a lot of that. There was lots of good thrashing in the um, in the pits, which is really hard. Sam's MFA, I heard you was renaming it to Mopar Nationals Open. No, actually, let's see. This year, a Chevrolet won the burnout competition. We had it wasn't a runaway with any one class. Just Mopar Joe said the famous J-Bo BTP valve body. Yeah, right. Chevrolet won the overall. I mean, I don't know how you can say that. We had a Ford win 28-10-5. Were there any LS cars or trucks there? Lots of them. Lots of LS powered stuff there. Plenty of Pontiacs there too. Um, just yeah, we had a lot. There's more variety at that event than anywhere. That's for sure. But that's how Saturday went. Saturday was great. We had our award ceremony, which was good. Um, really good. I appreciate the Nelsons, Andrew, Calvin, Nelson giving away our engineering award. We wanted them to judge it because those guys are just they're in another league with engineering. They are engineers, and they had some finalists. I know the Salt Flats car was a really it's a really well crafted car, and it was a worthy winner of the engineering awards. So we did that, and we want to do that again next year. Uh, Star Traveler. Star Traveler's got some considerations. It's one thing to fly here. It's another thing to bring a car here. It's another thing to trailer a car here. Uh, we did give the Star Traveler Award to Mongrels. Mongrels came from 1,900 miles from Alberta, Canada, with two cars. So that was pretty impressive. And an honorable mention goes to Tony's Hot Rod Garage. Tony left on a Monday, and he gets as far as the middle of Oklahoma and loses a well, first of all, the guy who had his car trailer that he could use backed out on him on Saturday, the week before. And of course, Tony, like any of us will be, is like, "You've got to be kidding me." So Tony had to fix that situation in the face of short supply on car trailers and all that. Understand how that goes. Yeah, Daddy's money said there are two polyhead engines alone. Yeah, agreed. When there's one, it's impressive. There was more than one. But no, Tony, he has to overcome that. Borrows his friend's truck, tows out of there on Monday. Somewhere in the middle of Oklahoma, loses a brake caliper. Had a pad come out and the piston come out. And if he'd been on the interstate, he might not have got the truck stopped. But anyway, he's going at lower speeds when that happens. Fortunately, he'd gotten off the interstate when it happened. And he said he was in the rain and pulled under a gas station awning to get out of the rain to change the caliper on the truck. Had to stay there and wait till it opened in the morning to get an O'Reilly's to get a brake caliper and put on the truck. So, big props to him. He didn't let anything stop him. But yeah, he's our honorable mention for the Star Traveler. And we have people travel from a long way for this event. So it's not like you have one guy come from forever away and everybody else is local. There's a lot of people travel a lot of distance, but this year it was Mongrels. Road Beer says I rented a trailer from U-Haul. That won't happen again. My next project is my trailer. Yeah, right on. I've had mixed results renting from U-Haul, mostly positive, but I know what you're saying. U-Haul's been known to give away expensive one-way rentals in the place of people who have locals because they're more. Well, I don't agree with that, but anyway. But yeah, he won that. Dallas won low ET. Um, wasn't a function of how much power it has, a function of how much you could get to the ground. So that was a well earned award. Um, Nate from Blue Collar Performance, he headed out a little early on Saturday and missed it. Nate won the Cinderella Award, No Name 500 this year. So I let him know. Send him his trophy. I'm going to do that tomorrow. And that'll actually be the last thing that goes out. I mailed out 3 checks today, administrative checks. Believe it or it wasn't until this morning that I got the final of the bookkeeping done. There's all these little things hanging around that you can't just do that day, like getting back deposits and stuff like that. So, um, One Eyed Cat said kudos to him. Buffalo Brian for coming as far as he went. Yeah, Buffalo Brian came there from upstate New York. He came there from Buffalo. So I appreciate him coming out. Stephen Hoth says it was $771.49 from Idaho Falls to Texas for a U-Haul car trailer in August. Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not. But look at the cost of car trailers. My gosh, I priced a car trailer last week at $4,800. That same trailer was half that much about 4 or 5 years ago. White Trash Motorsports says we 1,500-mile round trip last year with a borrowed truck and a rented trailer and about $800 to our name. Those guys are warriors. So, guys, if you can make it next year, we'd love to have you. We can do anything to help you. Let us know. But yeah, I don't want to leave anybody out, but I'm sitting here thinking through our awards. It's a testament to how much didn't break this year that Blake won the worst oil down. The worst oil down was a valve cover leak. Wow. I mean, who would have ever predicted that? Last year we had a tail shaft snap. Last year we had a connecting rod come through a block. This year we had a valve cover leak. So kind of amazing, but congratulations, I guess, Blake, that was the worst oil down we had. But it was good. If nothing else, it's always good to get Blake up there. I want to recognize him. I want to recognize the whole Bad Tree crew. Those guys, we really appreciate them. I know the Dirty Hippie Jeremy, he brought down the event shirts. The whole Triple Pickle Green Dart was full of shirts coming down from Iowa. So, little things like that. Everybody. I got a spinning death wheel on my screen. I know it blinked. If it croaks on me, I'll be back. What can I say? It may. Oh yeah, something else too. So John Cope did several of these. He did one, different channel designs for Bad Tree and Slant Daily and some others. He did one for Andy Wood. This is what John Cope had commissioned for me. How cool is that? That thing really lights up in the dark. That was the thumbnail. So I wanted to show that. That was in the thumbnail. I'm going to do some remodeling in here. So this is the year 2 studio. I'm sure it'll get a freshen up a little bit for year 3. But I wouldn't be surprised to see that in here somewhere. B&R, we don't guarantee anything until next year. I will say that December 31st is when we announce it. We announce the date, we announce the place. About New Year's Eve. This year, I think we did it one day early because that's when the Friday fell. But anyway, it's going to be on the Friday probably closest to New Year's Eve. That's when we make that announcement. I will say one thing, though. It's no problem to go back to Jeffers. They want the event back. So it's just like, I say these things because, as with anything you do like this, especially when it has all these ties to YouTube, there are a lot of people who will have you believe otherwise. I mean, I heard crazy unsubstantiated rumors that we weren't allowed to go back to Jeffers, which is nonsense. Jeffers wanted us back last year and this year. Larry Jeffers himself told me that last year at PRI. I mean, it's not, that's not even a thing. So, but yeah, we have to weigh our options. There's always a lot that goes into what we would have and why. I will say this, though. Don't look for it to radically move. I said this last year. I say it again this year. Don't look for the event to radically move, not on the calendar or geographically. It's not going to go to the East Coast. It's not going to go to the West Coast. It's not going to move radically. You just can't. It's working really well where it is. I would consider something in the Kansas City to Nashville, somewhere in that spread, but I like where it is. It is a good middle ground location for everyone, as LNA says. It's pretty good. Anywhere you have it, you'll have some people who can't make it there, and anywhere you have it, you have some people that will come no matter where it was. I think if that event was You know, he could be, on the far side of Africa. It could be in Egypt, and I think that Jay and Jason would already be there camping when I get there to set up. So some people would show up no matter where you have it, and some people would say it's too far if it was 3.7 hours away. So he can't. There's no right, there's no perfect answer, but um, where it is now actually is pretty good for a lot of people. And there's a lot of things Jeffers has that are not easy to replace or to not have. Oh yeah, Turbo Tom says the bridges that go from Kentucky to Illinois to Missouri are starting work. Let me tell you, those bridges are crazy. Um, those bridges were built in the I think in the teens or 20s, and they were made for a lot narrower cars and people not pulling 8.5 foot wide trailers. So that that bridge situation is crazy. Fortunately for me, I did the bridges at crazy off hours late, and that was a real help. It let me get across them because I know that last year, yeah, Andrews has dragged a 102 wide across. Exactly, it gets dicey. 20 foot wide road beer says, yeah, exactly. They are narrow. I know that the mirror on my van went over top of the edge of a trailer last year. This year it was uneventful because I went across them at weird hours and there's hardly anybody out. NSB drove 40 extra miles to miss those bridges. Yes, you can drive around them. This year I did something different. I said Cairo. I think the natives pronounce it Cairo. I believe that's how they pronounce it. But this year I did something different. I actually went into the town of Cairo because that town is where Sears had their kid homes located. If you order Sears kid in the 19 teens or 20s or something, yeah, Cairo, the sawmill was there, and the docks were there, and that's where they would ship everything out of on the river. And because it saved a lot of money, if you lived in that town, there's a lot of people ordered Sears kid homes because they were all done locally right there. So if you drive around that town, it's amazing. You'll see, look at this old, it's not Victorian, but it's right after that. It's a big mansion. Wow, that's so out of place here. Well, that's why. There were several I found driving around that town. I was like, man, you aren't kidding. I've heard it still has a whole lot of those houses, and it does. Dr. Doe says some of my Louisiana family would not visit us in Indiana because of those bridges. Well, I hear you. It is what it is. Well, B&R, you can make it faster next year. B&R, you've got 350 some days, provided we're on the same week to bring your Pontiac. We'd like to see it. And now that you've been there and know what kind of crowd it is and know how well good hands you're in, I don't think you need to worry about it. There's Mean Street Mopar. It was good seeing Mean Street Mopar there. Mean Street Mopar got a 904 torque flight from Mopar's Mustangs and minivans, and it will be really cool to see that wind up in a car there next year. So Mean Street, if you need anything, there's a whole lot of guys in this chat that can help you with that. Fire Pinto says this year I have to buy a trailer. I get that. I get that. I'll tell you what, trailers are high though. They're quite as high as they were, but they were, yeah, the materials on trailers made them crazy. Andrew Nelson says the 2022 date was better than the 2023 date. Uh, well, I mean, it's always going to be better for some people and worse than others. I mean, there's always something in the way. You got Mo Party, you got the Ford event, you've got duct tape drags, the No Name Nationals, Rocky Mountain Race Week. I mean, there's so many things all around those days, and it will be that way no matter how you move it. If we moved it into the summer, people like some people would say, "Yay, it's before school starts," and then other people would say, "Oh, it's too hot out here." I mean, just there's just no way to. There's no perfect day for everybody. Daddy's money, you need a 904. Jabo wants a 904 and A500. I'm going to build an A500 for too long. LNA said, "I enjoy the event, or was it too much work?" Well, it was a pile of work. I enjoy it because all of you guys enjoyed it, but it is a pile of work. Yeah, Bad Tree had to recruit some help to get all the gear moved down there. Yeah, I was really thrilled to see the Jeremy's dart, Blake's dart, and the Nacho. I thought that was cool. They all three made it. Oh man. Well, B&R, you know, I know it's there, so if you want to bring it, you can. All you really need to do is stick a trailer on your truck. Your truck would be a good tow rig for that. Dr. Ghost says, "I likely would not be a good drag racer because I can't even get there on time." I'm not a good drag racer. I made the first pass at that event under enormous peer pressure from John Cope. Uh, on Saturday, he wanted me to make a pass in Haney, and the pass was fine. I ran, I think I ran within a thousandth of what he'd been running in it. Thing is I did not know they were running a pro tree. I had no idea. I'm thinking about 58 other things at the minute, and they've been running Sportsman all morning. I did not realize for their match race they asked for pro tree. So I bump into the lights and I'm looking for the top bulb, and boom, I see all the bulbs. I'm like, oh well, I just threw that away. So then I'm like, okay, let's not botch the pass getting rattled by botching the tree because it's real easy to lose both. So I just, relaxed a little bit and then just brought her left, and it was a good pass. But yeah, the reaction time was even worse than normal for me. I'm gonna want to make a habit of that, Blake. I appreciate that much. I had no intention of doing that, but it's a lot of pressure for that. But I got to tell you, really, what I want to do is what I did there all weekend, and I just wanted to try to make sure everybody had everything they need. Dakota said they should have been the grocery. No, no, I'm all for the grocery. I think the grocery is great. I just didn't know they were doing it. I had no idea because I was thinking hot bulb comes on, bring your RPMs up, let go of the brake when you see the third bulb start to come on. That's what I had in my mind. Then when I saw the whole tree flash, I'm like, oh, okay. Nivlac 57, that's Calvin Nelson. Glad you could join us. He says, "We had a good time. Looking forward to next year." Yeah, man. We want you to come back and have a good time, Calvin. Glad you were there. All three flash thing. Yeah, that's a sportsman tree. Well, pro tree, they all flash together. And you know what? I mean, it's all great. I like the fact that at this event, you see sportsman, you see pro tree, and instant green. I think that's really cool. Jason's has run the satellite, had a long break to relax. And BNR said everyone was friendly. Well, of course, BNR, because at this event, Shane Polito was saying that it's a good event when you have your children there because you have a certain amount of trust. You know all of these people around you, and it's helpful for that. So it's a good thing. Punisher Lamont, don't worry, my reaction. Oh, I'm not worried about it. I've always been a sundial on the light, so it's all good. NSB says I'm going to hit pro trees every chance I get. Well, let me tell you, with Joe is just good. Joe is practiced. Joe's bracket racer. He's going to like it. So really, do what you can, practice what you can, but you're competing with somebody who's good there. So I think the track prep did what being practiced up couldn't. So anyway, I'm just Mopar Joe's going to have a chance to come back and avenge it. And you know what? Who knows? Maybe it'll be he and T in the finals. We'll see. You never know. You never know what next year will bring. I don't take for granted that we know what'll happen next year because, and I'm not being more, we might not be alive next year. We have no idea. Anything can happen to any of us. And so that's why we want to, try to make each year count. We don't want to take for granted that we'll all just one of these years be able to, something bad could happen. One of us might not make it or something. So we want to take every chance we can. But hopefully everyone of you is alive and well, and we all get to get back together for our annual family reunion. Yeah, Joe wants to go do recon early. You guys can do it. I don't think they're going to move it anywhere. Auteur Fiddler said, I should start begging for subs for next year's NNN since it's not the same weekend as duct tape. Warning, I have 2 cute kitten videos. Well, let me tell you, the kitten videos will get you more videos than car videos. But I'll give you some advice. You want to see the blueprint on how to do this, Fiddler, go look at One-Eyed Cat. Don, when he went to the No Name Nationals as a spectator in 2022, he said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my subs. I'm going to earn my way in. I'm going to be here. And I'm going to race my car in 2023. That's what Don English said. And that's exactly what he did. But the key to it was he started on it that day. So this is that day for you. Talk to Don English. He can tell you exactly what it's like. Don worked through the winter. Don made cat videos and stuff in the winter. And guess what? Come spring, he was in a good position, got the rest of his subs, got his done. Don is a blueprint of how to do it. Battery Productions won a T-shirt for a -0001 red, and it was cool. Got nothing for the 0007 green. I hear you. Torque Racing Productions says if I can pull the build off, I'll be bringing an all-wheel drive next year. We'll see. Dean Stevenson says from 8,354.336 miles away. Is that a count for like light refraction or how did you measure that? I can see all my No Name Nationals YouTube buddies in almost real time. Well, cool. Glad you're here. Don English, what's the name of his channel? One-Eyed Cat. So look 2 below you there, Fiddler. He said, I had my 500 in April, then could concentrate on the car. And that is exactly the right strategy. So indirect connection is actually a part of Rapid Transit Garage, but he is going to have his own channel, indirect connection, and he will get the subs. And there's nothing wrong with that because he's a bona fide part of Rapid Transit Garage. But they just want to register under their own channels next year, and that's awesome. Brian Barfus says I'm late. Okay. Fiero guy concentrated on my car the whole time. Let me tell you, Don English had the blueprint. He showed you exactly how to manage your time. And here's the thing, that Fiero guy, there's nothing says you can't get back in the mix next year. We had 2 channels get back in the mix next year from last, and they got their subs. So just do it again. Just trust me. You'll have more. You'll be ahead of the game. You will have done it once. You know what you got to do. You'll be ahead of all the people starting from scratch. You'll get it. Kind of like when I was at Virginia Tech. They have the weed out class called Engineering Fundamentals, EF 1015. And you had to have a grade of C or better to advance in the program. And the way it worked was that class was brutal. I mean, it had a lot of D's and F's in it. And most everybody that got a D in it took it again and passed. And it's because the first time you really get slammed hard in that class, but when you take it again, you pass it. And it's a weed out class. It shows people who's made of what. So I took it and I passed it, but it's tough class. And the No Name 500 is kind of like that. If you don't succeed the first time, just don't give up. Get back in it for next year, and you'll get it. Ryan says he'll have his 66 Belvedere there next year with a 440 tunnel ram power. The best way to make that happen is to start now, like now, and write down on a sheet what you've got to do, when you've got to do it, and cross it off as you go. Turbo Tom 416 says, I made it. That's because Turbo Tom 416 was driving 3 counties away in his Model T when this started, and he just now got here. But anyway, I got to ride in the Nacho Cuda and in the 1916 Model T of Turbo Tom's while I was there. How cool was that? Backwoods Custom Craft says, I'll be there next year because 2023 was a blast. Well, we were glad to have you. Jeremy just got home, says, howdy, everybody. Jeremy got home not because he was driving a slow car, but because he did a burnout all the way from the marina to his house. That's why he just got in. He left actually an hour ago, but he was smoldering tires all the way home. Andrew Nelson says, I was late to the chat. Did you compliment everyone on the pit conduct? Yes. Everybody was respectful. I didn't hear about any fights or anything like that or see anything. The conduct was great, and everybody left everything clean. I did not hear any arguing or carrying on, so I'm thrilled. That's 2 years in a row that you guys have proven to be outstanding. J-Bo says the hippie is Stinkfoot McGee. Yes, and Turbo Tom got his 500 subs at the No Name Nationals. He got them there on the day. So that makes 3 channels that we got their subs on the day. And we got in the program that day. 3. Dizzy Izzy, Mopar's Mustangs and Minivans, they did that last year. And this year we had 1 channel do it, Turbo Tom 416. Turbo Tom had something like 492. And he got some shout outs. And we were watching him climb, but he got them. We had to tell him he got them. He got them before he knew he got them. We knew he got them. But he got it. So just don't give up. And we didn't know he would get them because it just worked out this way. The group photo had a perfect little narrow little slot in the group photo. And Tom gets his subs and comes out for the photo. And I said, man, we got 1 spot for you up front that only a Model T will fit in. So Tom pulls the water box backwards and backs up the track into this little spot behind the square body. It worked out for him beautifully, but he got his subs, he got in. And he made what is the only pass on a drag strip I've ever seen by a Model T. Ran a 17 something at, what was it, 42? What was your pass, Tom? Was it 17 something at 40 or something like that? BB402, I've got 1 draft of it. I don't even have all of them yet, so I still get those. There's only 2 people that have a version of it. I want to find the best one and kind of put that out as the official one. Fire Pinto says, what does it cost to get channel stickers and shirts made? There are different people who use different vendors here. I know that the Battery guys and I use Schultz Sign. Just Mopar Joe does. Several people use Schultz Sign in Iowa. They did the official event T-shirts this year and the stickers. And we'll probably expand that a little bit for next year. There are places, different people make different things. I know that Tony's Hot Rod has a company called Gunslinger Graphics, and we got our staff shirts from them. So, you know, there are different places. Sticker Mule does stickers. Lots of local places do stickers. So I would say just ask your fellow content creators on here because they all have different ideas. Fiero guy would have foot raced the Model T. There we go. 17, 15 at 38. Cool. Punisher Lamont is wearing the NNN shirt right now. Yeah, well, I have two of them, and they're both dirty, so I'm just wearing plain black. An update live like this that's exclusively for. I usually try not to wear any specific channel shirt because I got so many friends in the YouTube community. But anyway, I'm unmarked today. Torque Racing wanted to run with a pea shooter. Well, I'll tell you, there's opportunities. You never know. I'd love to see Tom bring it back in 2024. We'll find out. well, yeah, I don't know. I know that I heard. I didn't see it, but I heard that the Cushman towed the Duster of Brinker, the Dust Devil Garage Duster, off the track for the photo because Brian didn't realize that when the car sits like this, you can have plenty of fuel in the tank and it can't reach the pickup. I thought that was really funny. Sean Fat Tire Guy Thomas hit his 500 subs today. Picked up a 74 D100 as a build idea. Well, make it happen, man. Junkyard D, I'm back. What did I miss? Stuff. I don't know. Turbo Model T? Question mark. I doubt it. That Model T has been in their family. Is the fourth. Tom is the fourth generation. Thought that was cool. Yeah, Big Mike used sticker mule this year. Let me know how they hold up. I'll say this: the stickers that Schultz makes, they make them out of really heavy vinyl, and they hold up real well. They're not cheap though. Sleeper Dude gets merch. Pros do the sales, led to them. Contractors making most of the money. Yeah, well, I mean, depends how much you want to do with it. Fulfillment is a thing, right? And I will say, I'm going to have. I'm working on a new website for the No Name Nationals. We've had that utilitarian site for 2 seasons now, and it's worked really well. But it's time to upgrade into a more functional site, and I'm going to have the shirts on there for purpose. Battery, I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule that out. Um, there are some changes coming to Saturday. Um, small changes. The last thing we want to do is make big sweeping changes to something that we know people are really happy with. But there's some changes coming to Saturday. I think you people will like them. You know, one thing I'll say is everything comes at the expense of something, and things have to run smoothly to get it all in. But like I said, there's some changes coming to especially to Saturday. I think you'll like this event. Is a lot of it's dictated by what goes. There's some things we're going to do a little bit differently for Saturday. I think you'll like it. Yeah, there's lots of things we'd allow to run down the track, like bicycles. Sure, I got no problem with that. Dust Devil Brian wanted to do a race on mobility scooters. Just wear a helmet. I don't care. It's fine. Bicycles, mobility scooters, it's all fine. I mean, it's just having fun and being safe. Punisher Lamons would love to see a bigger 28 10-5 field. I mean, and they got to show up. And those cars, as you know, are more finicky and more to deal with and more to build. Myself, Jeremy says there are things in the works. Believe me. Smoke Wrench got a bounce. Take care. Yeah. So without too much speculation, there's things that are changing for Saturday. And we don't even want to get into that just yet, but there are. 28, 10, 5 every time. Well, the rate your cars evolve, and who knows what'll happen. Punisher says, careful what you wish for. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, the field had a lot of faster cars in it. It didn't have as fast of a car as we had last year, but I can see a 28 10 5 getting meaner for next year for sure. Artur said, was the racing heads up or handicap with dial ins or call outs? All three. And there's all kinds of video out there already. Junkyard D, looking forward to you coming back. Junkyard D came from North Dakota. So really glad to see him come out, and glad you had a good time, man. Looking forward to next year. Awesome. That Fiero guy asks for 28 10 5. Does it have to be exactly that, or could it be a smaller slick tire? You can go smaller. Roland is running 26 by 8.5s. Andrew Nelson said a year of recovery is what I needed. Newfound mojo found. Cool, man. Yeah, torque 2016 is what he ran. Okay, I was thinking it was an 8.5. 2016. If you guys have never seen a Camaro running a 26-inch tire that gets the front wheels off in second gear, torque racing rolling, we were pretty impressed with that watching that. Man, just ask around. Fire Pinto says 24s. Don't underestimate the 24. There's a lot of gear ratio to game by running that shorter slick. Jeff Fiero guy says, no way I can run anything wider than 8. That's what you got, man. Welcome to Dodge Dart Life. I ran a 26 8.5 for many years. You can do it on 26 8.5. Yeah, Bigfoot's a Mopar says some people do fine on a Battery Blake says blew the rear skin on the Tesla in the pits Friday night. Had to limp it around the rest of the time. What? If you had a Tesla there, it was so quiet I never knew you had it. I told the guys with Roadrunner Safety Service scooter. I told the guys with Roadrunner Safety Services, I said, all right, come back next year. We'll let them together be a judge at the burnout competition. One like that. That'd be pretty cool. Jeremy's Dart has a 235 60 15 on the back. That's all you're going to fit in a Dodge Dart with a stock wheel well. That's it. Andrew Nelson says running 9 quarter miles is only scary the first 10 trips down the track. I'll go with that. Jeremy almost pulled the tire. Well, the car actually leaves pretty good and flat. If his car was more just, if it was like a twisted up junk rocket like some of these, it probably would have the front wheel off. Because the car leaves nice, that keeps it from doing that. Yep. Round bars nesses. It was fun being a judge for the burnout competition. Well, cool. Well, we'll mix it up. I like the idea of having, you know, people representing the camps like that. I thought that was pretty cool. That was a good way to do it. Yeah, I know some buffering and blinking. The internet gods may call this live early. Who knows? Tribute to $20 subframe. Okay, so Jeremy's car has subframe connectors in it too. Okay, well there we go. That's exactly why that is. A link to Jeremy's channel there, the Dirty Hippie. Yeah, Bad Tree Productions has a good video on how to do low buck subframe connectors. Thought that was pretty good. Candy cane still has 5 quarts of oil in it this year. Indeed. Last year, it did not do that. A lot of track cleanup. This came out of that engine. One of the connecting rods out of candy cane. Blake is, and regardless of whatever else Steven gave away, he has 6 or fewer. Yeah, Rabbit Transit says, I'm going to put subframe connectors on the dart before I get traction. Jeremy says, are you using Duddy's internet? No, I'm actually using what should be decent internet. I think it's my Blake says subframe ET scientific facts. One-eyed cat says my subframe is bed frame rails, perfect length. Okay. Mohawk's got steamrollers on his scamp. That's a back half car, no spring relocated car. Which is that, Mohawk? He's got 315 6015s on the scamp with a 2.6 gear. Andrew Nelson says, why does no number on the orange paper scare me more than a numbered page asking for a friend? I'll say this, there's got to be some semblance of an off season. Although really there was no off season last year. It didn't seem like it. But we're going to Thumper has given 38 POS Racing some ideas. Um, right on. Like to see it. Hope Thumper comes back. I hope 38 comes back. Hope both of you guys come back. Fiddler there says, what do cars like the 73 Rancheros and Malibus with full frames add for strength instead of subframe connectors? They have full frames. I mean, full frame is like a subframe connector. Let's see here. In just a second. A little administrative stuff. Just a moment. While I do this. There's Rager. 38 says Thumper doesn't bring the ghost car again. Thumper brought an empty trailer and towed Racer's car back. They were going somewhere. That was very unusual. 59 Chevy drives down. Goes back trailers, brought the trailer from farther away than the car came from. That was just an unusual deal. No need to share J-Bo's channel. Maybe we're trying to encourage him. Street Mopar, what do you think I should bring here? The Diplomat or the D150? I think you should bring yourself and get those subscribers and then just bring whatever you want. 38 POS Racing says, I had a blast talking with everyone, even without sleep. The No Name Nationals was kind of a like an Amazon parts delivery for me. I had gotten parts from different people. I had a 46 RE transmission and a hitch for my van come from Nebraska, 38 POS Racing. I had a tunnel ram come from Illinois from Two Hacks Jeff, and I had a torque converter come from Big Block 402 Steven from Arkansas. So I had parts kind of trickling in from different places. So that was pretty cool. Big Block 402s, I slept the first 2 nights in my truck. Shout out to John Cope. I mean, he put us up in the RV, so that was the nicest camping accommodations I have ever had. Air conditioning, had electricity and everything. That was really nice. I might have only slept 4 hours a night. It was very nice to be able to just walk out and be at the track each day. The swap meet's going to change the whole thing. There's a reason we haven't done that. You know, where you use the exhaust to cook some stuff. 59 was glad when the transmission was out of the, I bet. Blake says RV is where it's at, man. I'll tell you what, I can get spoiled, and that's so easy. Rabbit Transit Garage is debating on an RV or an enclosed trailer. I got to tell you, as much as it seems like a great idea to have it enclosed, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, and it protects your cars from the elements and theft and whatever, I get all that. But there's something really cool about having the car in an open trailer going down the road like a bill for our shared passion of cars. I think it's really cool. Dallas is like that. I'm like that too. When I was younger, I thought the people that towed on an open trailer were people who couldn't afford enclosed. I disagree with that now. I'm really liking the open trailer thing to do. There's not great. An RV with an open trailer, that's a pretty odd setup for that reason. See, 38 POS Racing does the swap meet thing. He gets it. There's a lot of fleas that come with that dog. Yeah, and one-eyed cats as we got praised at every gas stop along the way. People love seeing the cars. Yes, they do. I remember as a kid watching the cars file into Princeton Dragway on open trailers. I thought it was the coolest thing. You just don't see as much of that anymore. You're going to see more of it, though, because now with the cost of everything, I mean, now that an open trailer costs what an enclosed used to, you'll see more open trailers. Fire Pinto, you'd be surprised about that. It's babysitting the stuff you're selling. Junk Car Willie put out a spread of swap stuff, and I don't care if anybody wants to do that. Bring your stuff, lay it out on a tarp, whatever. But what Willie did was he just had an honor system. He just had like a little throw your money in it. His stuff balanced. People didn't steal anything. Big Mike said, I definitely got asked about the Blue Goose every stop I made. Exactly. 38 got you're from where? A lot. Yeah, Nebraska. People loved seeing Candy Cane there. Right on. Candy Cane is an institution. Nobody steals track. Yeah, we didn't have any problems with theft. Hey, we got a knock at the door. Who could that be?
Hey, here I am. It's me knocking at the door.
Mr. Dallas Brown.
Yeah, I just got done bowling with my son. Sorry I missed most of this live.
Oh, right on. We're glad you're spending time with family. We were just doing a rundown of the events of the weekend and, things I saw from my perspective, because I was, of course, there a lot earlier and stayed later, like you did. But,
they're way early, and I don't know. You don't have Facebook, I know, but I posted that I was like Colonel Hal Moore. It's like the first one on the battlefield and the last one to leave. So
it's always quiet when we get there and quiet when we leave each year.
Yeah, but the good thing is we didn't have to pick up any trash, really. Just break down all the stuff for the Burnout competition. So you guys did an excellent job picking up after yourselves.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's... Hey, what's up, Dakota, Jabo, mostly old parts and Russ Patrick, NSB Custom Cars. I tell you what, the guys from NSB are some top-notch cats.
Really, they are.
Yeah, Shane came over and said, hey, man, Roland didn't collect because he didn't have a Slant Daily Garage sticker. And I'm like, oh, dude, well, see if Joe wants to do a heads-up best-of-3 with somebody. And he ran around trying to find a 640 car, and bang, the guys from NSB Customs were like, yeah, we're on that, especially if there's cash involved. Like, no problem. And it was...
Yeah, how about them bringing a tire changer? I mean...
Yeah, that's the second year in a row, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So, nobody else brings a tire changer.
It's so needed. Those guys use that thing.
Oh.
We do.
Are you dying on bandwidth?
Yeah, well, a little bit, but it's okay. It's all right. We're surviving. But how about that Thunderbird of Dallas's? Who expected to see that?
Yeah,
Dallas brought out a hammer, and most of you didn't know he had.
Yeah, I was. I just needed to do something different.
You did.
I'm still shooting for the 5s. I'm going to try to get a pass in before the season ends, and we were playing with it the whole weekend, trying to get the thing to run, and it was running okay. It's just I don't think it's getting enough fuel. I don't think the fuel pump or the injectors can support how much power the thing makes now with that tunnel ram on it. And so I got some, I like to call it booger-eating redneck way to fix it. So we're going to see if I can get it down the 5s with adding some more fuel.
Cultured Redneck Garage Kyle says he got to come out Friday. It was great. Thank you, Kyle. I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing. He has Sandrail VW. He has a Roadrunner. Like to see Kyle come out next year. I know he can do it.
Yeah. I enjoyed, my favorite part was getting to go to Lambert's this year. That was a lot of fun.
Dallas didn't get to go last year, by the way.
No, I was waiting for the fire department to come fill all those water barriers.
Well, I got to go to all of the Burnout competition this year. So,
That's good.
yeah,
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 last year you had to disappear to go get helmets for everyone, right?
I did. I had to pick up a couple helmets. So that's okay. That's what I'm here for. But it was good. It was good. Big Block 402 got to drive Dean's Super Bee. Ooh, how cool was that?
Yeah, that's a nice car too.
So, who all here saw Joe's video sneaking in an extra 100 cubic inches?
Oh, I watched that last night after it premiered.
How
And then he
about
was
that?
like, yeah, he said the first person to get screwed in the Sykeston screw job was him. And
Yeah,
that's karma. You try to sneak in an extra 100 cubes after you set the whole race up, that's going to happen.
yeah.
But Bad Tree Productions, Dallas, I laughed at your plate on the car. What did it say again? It says Wicked Chicken.
Yeah, wicked chicken.
Oh, my Sykeston sunburn is still present. No, I'm normally red like this. Uh, I don't know. Maybe it's that American Indian blood I got.
So Dallas and I were having to unload all the sand out of the barricades. I guess that was Sunday we were doing that, and
Yeah.
the lull, it's got a leak, and I don't know how long it takes for it to leak out 5 gallons of hydraulic fluid, but however long it was is also exactly how long it takes to empty 40 barrels of sand.
Well, actually, it was probably, if you did it properly, 40 barrels of sand. You can
Yeah,
technically get like 34, and then the last six, the guy running the lull just dumps them on the ground, right?
yeah, he was flying. You should have seen the grace and precision with which he was setting the first 34, and then the last ones he would just like pull up, hit the brakes, flying off in the pit, and going to get another one.
Yeah, it was losing all of its steering, and
Yeah.
as soon as that thing's down, we can't do nothing with those barrels. They weigh so much, we can't do anything with them.
Oh no, no, there's no doing this by hand. They weigh way too much, but it worked out. It was great. We're going to work on improving that setup and gotta have a safe burnout pit. That's all.
Let's see. Oh, here's Andy's in there saying that Jabo, myself, and Jeff had to carry the banner for Ford this year. I was on the beach for a wedding. Well, I tell you what, man. If you eventually bring Casper out there for No Name Nationals, there's going to be a huge fan base waiting to see you, because there is almost every year people asking if you're going to be there. And I can't wait to see that thing go. And I have figured out the big difference between my combination and your combination, Andy, is that yours is still streetable. So,
It's amazing. There were a lot of people that asked if Andy was going to be there,
yeah.
and there was nobody that asked if some people were going to be there. It would surprise people, but Andy's someone that everyone wants to see there. You guys, anybody have any questions? I told them this was kind of behind the scenes and how it all worked. I told them about the lightning hitting the timing system at Jeffers and how they had worked on that all week while we were there getting ready. And,
Right. That was actually ultimately what the traction issue was there. If you think about it, the track didn't run for 3 months because they got struck by lightning. And so the track never got prepped. Usually when it's further in the season, they prep it every weekend throughout the whole year. And by the time you get to the end of the year, all I got to go out there to do is dust it a little bit with some traction compound, and the thing's stickier than a fly trap. But, man, did it really goof things up on Friday.
Hey, Alter Fiddler, he's curious how you add 100 cubic inches and not have it be obvious. Well, you go from a 4.37 and a 3.38 inch stroke to a 4.38 and a, what is it?
4-inch stroke.
4 1/4 or something
4
like
and a
that.
quarter. Yeah, it
You went
has to
from a
be something big.
405 to a 512.
Yeah, it's actually the same block. Nobody would even notice, except for you.
It's a different block, but They're both 400 blocks.
Right, but it's a stroker crank. So he just added a stroker crank instead of having the factory
Yeah.
cast or a factory crank in it. He put a stroker crank in the thing and added 100 cubes, and it doesn't get any bigger. Externally, it looks the same. So that was the thing, is that he went from a 408, which had a standard crank in it, from that 400 or maybe a 383, and then threw a nice stroker crank in there and gained 100 cubes. I kind of figured something was up when he called me and asked me if I wanted to do heads up, and I'm like Joe, this thing isn't like slow by any means. I mean, you better have some teeth when you because I just put a tunnel ram on it. You better have something ready to go, because I was shooting for the 5s, and he's like, yeah, okay, well, no big deal, it's just for fun. And I figured he wasn't going to go out there and get his ego bruised. He had to have something up his sleeve.
Joe ran 722s pretty consistently to win the bracket last year. And then he surprised us all by spraying it on Saturday and got down in the 680s. So this year he was running, I think he didn't quite 40s, but he's been 640s in A. So Bad Tree says John Cope might come off as a really nice guy and bubbly. He's the best in person. Huge heart, that man. Indeed, I agree. Cope is a good dude. And by the way, Dallas, I don't know if you got to see this. Cope had some of these made for us.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He made the Bad Tree guys one, and I just thought that was pretty cool. This was the thumbnail for the video.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Yeah. Little lighted signs. See, let me tell you, did he ever put on a show in the Burnout competition from a guy who didn't even think he was going to make it? Look at the show he put on. Wow.
Who's that?
Russell from out there.
Oh, yeah.
In the Burnout pit, first guy.
Yeah, he burned it down.
He said he could have run it again if he had the tires. Never got hot or anything.
Well, that's perfect. That's what a burnout vehicle is supposed to be like, right? And I was kicking around with Polito, like, what would be the best burnout thing, Oh, it's got to be something with torque. And I'm like, ooh, I build those. And he says, it's got to be a manual transmission. I'm like, ooh, I don't build them, but that keeps the training from getting hot. And if you get a motor with big time torque, you don't have to be concerned with a lot of RPM, and they don't generally get hot, right? So you just need something that makes stump pulling torque and has a manual transmission. So
Bad Tree says buy your transmission parts at CRT. They're excellent parts, really. I mean, I'm not paid to say anything, but those are really good parts. I don't think you're going to beat anywhere.
Just Mopar Joe, you hear that?
Yeah, Joe needs a CRT transmission in the worst way. Junkyard D says, were trans brakes restricted to bracket class? No, but electronics were. You can't run a box, but you can run a brake. You just got to be able to drive your stuff. And by the way, Joe's a foot braker. He had a brake, wasn't using it all weekend.
Old McDonald's has a car, says maybe that they can make a lighted hot dog cooker for Dallas. I never even gave that thing a try. I went to actually cook the first hot dog, and Professor P was like, "Hey man, don't forget we're having chili and tater tots, and it was chili tater tots, chili fries or whatever for lunch." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I got this package of hot dogs. I need to chew up before they go bad." And he said, "Well, we'll cut them up and throw them in the chili." And it turned out to be the best thing we could do, because that was pretty good.
Travis got to run the Junkyard Jet. He got to drive it on the track once, see what kind of time he could get out of it. We figured that that's a low 8-second car now, so Austin can refine it and work it and spray it. He'll be into the 7s with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, they were just getting it, I guess, their driving style technique down. This the last No Name Nationals, it was just all over the board. Everything was wonky, but a lot of it was the front suspension. He had hurt the front suspension during the Burnout contest the night before. But then this year, Austin was really getting it taken care of.
Big Block 402 says, hate that I missed the Burnouts, but hopefully next year I can be in it again. Right on. You put on a great show. We'd love to see you in the Burnout competition next year. J-Bo said, somehow we missed out on Cope's hot dog. That's one time I didn't. Usually I miss out on all the cooking and stuff because I got too much to do. But this year I did get a couple of John Cope's Chicago hot dogs, and it was good.
Well, and you know, that's the thing that this year we didn't do that we did last year was that community cookout. I really like the community barbecue thing. You know, it just promotes camaraderie, just like the whole event does, really.
Yep, $85 a hot dog if you're not a Trump supporter, he said. I didn't see him actually collect on that, though. But
that's called capitalism.
No, it was good time. That's one of the, you know, it's funny. I stopped by, and you know, the Chicago hot dog's a poppy seed bun, and it's mustard and peppers, right? You know,
it's got tons of stuff on it. Yeah.
It's Coke said, "Man, that's the longest I've seen you standing still all weekend." And it probably was.
Yeah, gosh, that first year, I didn't even really remember the first year until we started going through all the stuff and setting things up again. I was like, dang, I remember doing this last year.
A lot of work.
But I hadn't thought about it in a whole year, right? But we literally worked until I remember the first couple of days there where I was just so happy to take my shoes off.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this feels that good.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that it wears on your feet going around that many miles in the pits all together like that. But yeah, most of the old parts and Russ's, we brought the cookies. Jackie's better stuff, really good stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know that Jackie was handing out cookies there. I probably would have got some.
See, last year I only heard about it. I didn't get to try them, so they hooked me up. And she brought lemon, chocolate chips, Snickers, and macadamia nut.
Well,
and man,
you know, I was living. Really I had for the first 4 days. I don't know if you knew this. I lived off tuna in a packet and Ritz crackers.
Yeah, I did. I knew you did, but
well, that's the only thing I had, and I didn't bring any money. I didn't. See, that's the benefit of being retired Navy is I got all kinds of money the day I get paid. And then at the end of the month, when it's something at the end of the month, I'm scrambling just to have enough to, you know, like get basic items. that was it. I had very little food. So we'll see how that goes next year. You know, things will be different for me.
A year makes a big difference. And I'm telling people now, if you want to do something next year, you want to bring a car, you want to have a channel, whatever your goals are, there's two components to a goal. You have to have a time frame and an action plan. And the whole community will help you if you want it with the action plan. But the time frame, we're going to give it to you. It's going to be an orange number on the paper right there. That's going to be the time frame. We'll give you what you need for a goal. We'll give you a deadline.
Ideally, I'm going to tell you something. Ideally, you want to finish it probably, I'd say 120 days before that paper runs out. Okay? Yeah. And that would give you some time to get it tested and refined and the whole thing kind of buttoned up and ready to go.
They were so busy and having so much fun, they almost
forgot to eat.
Well, I'll tell you, I will say there is a lot to it, having the number on the paper, because it gives a frame to shoot for. And, you know, without that, some of us just say one of these days, one of these years, come into summer. We all say these things, but when we put numbers on the paper, that's what drives us all to get our stuff together so we can all enjoy it together. the same time in the same place. So that is part of the goal. The other part of the goal, well, now that's up to you guys, but this community will help you.
Yeah. Well, next year I'm going to have a better plan for myself. I'm bringing the barbecue, or the grill, and I am going to cook a hell of a lot of food.
Cool.
I plan on just making a couple of runs, and then I don't know. Next year I'll probably have the T-Bird there, but it'll be sorted out, and hopefully I'll have it down in, like, say, the 580s at that point.
See, Landon and Travis has joined us, and PJ's Rusted and Busted Garage. Glad y'all could make it. 38 says, what, we're supposed to test before the No Name Nationals? Say it ain't so. Well, not everybody does. I got to tell you, last year, the guy who did exactly the sketchiest thing and completely got away with it was Duddy of Duddy's Adventure. Duddy finishes his car, starts it up, drives it to the end of his driveway, puts it on the trailer, takes it to Sykeston, right? And then the thing runs like a stone axe all weekend. Who would have ever thought? But
that never happens. That never happens. He got lucky. Yeah. So Blake from Bad Tree is saying, I'm putting a slant 6 in Death Pumpkin. I'll tell you what, man. I think what I would do is, if you're going to take poor old Death Pumpkin, you need to just go through that motor really good. And if you're saying you're going to do a 512, put a 512 in it. You just did the tranny, you just did the rear end, but put some good stuff on there. Buy less used parts. Maybe, I don't know. Everything seemed to be biting you in the ass on that car. And it didn't matter what it was. You fixed the water pump, and then all of a sudden the brakes don't work. It's like that thing needs to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb.
I see something interesting here. So let me scroll back up to it. So Big Block, where'd it go? Big Block 402 Steven says, we're bringing the 8.0 PT Cruiser next year. So we're going to have a PT Cruiser, a Ford Fiesta, and a Geo Metro that all run about an 8 flat. That's pretty cool when you think about it.
That turbocharged Metro was, if you didn't go look at that, man, you were missing out. That thing was serious. That was a good piece. I'd love to
see a 6.0 index for little cars like that. That's cool. Sam Mountain Ballistics says, I drive a poncho and I'm far from being a vegetarian. Vegetarian is like an old obsolete word for bad hunter, isn't it?
Starving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dean Stevenson says, Dallas has been Australianized. Barbecue for you. I tell you what, I'll bring some snags, Dean. If you're going to plan on coming up there for No Name Nationals, I'll bring the snags. Yeah, Buff says that Metro was driven to Sykes, and it was. They drove it the whole time. That was a freaking sharp thing, man.
We had a bunch of folks come out of the No Name 500, and they came there and just wowed us all. So, I'm telling you. And how about the winner of our No Name 500, Blue Collar Performance? There's a guy who's a very deserving winner of the No Name 500.
Yeah.
Sam Mountain Ballistics says, I'm the type of guy, if I'm buying a meal, I'm not buying salad. And, for me, salad is like whatever's left over on the cutting board and sink.
Yeah, that's funny because the day I ran out of tuna fish, that's the meal I went and got was a big salad, right?
Yeah.
But see, there's a little grocery store right there when you get on whatever's the main street there in Sykes, when you turn right. And it's just down there on your left, maybe a block. But they had salads for $5, and I'm like, that's my ticket right there.
Dallas and I did make an opportunity to do Lambert's twice. We did Lambert's. What did we do? We did Thursday and Saturday, or Sunday, or something like that.
What day did we leave? Sunday?
So I think Sunday was the day we did Lambert's again.
No, we left on Monday.
Right, but we did Sunday because we had Lambert's with Lynn.
Yeah, that was Monday,
that would have been
wasn't
Sunday,
it?
Yeah.
Because then we leave from Lambert's? Oh no, you're right. We
I
did it
don't
on
know. Yeah,
Sunday.
no, it's Sunday. But that was nice. They said we baked too many rolls. Any of you like rolls to go? I said sure. We get these rolls once a year, so I'll take some with me.
And they were, of course, big as a football. The roll itself is the spot that just sticks down in the pan, right? But there's still 3/4 of the roll sticking out.
NSB Custom Cars. I hate it. We missed Bad Attitude, Blake. I got to tell you, that's why there are so many people worth seeing. You just can't catch everybody. It's just gotten too big for that. But Big Mike missed Lambert's last year, hit it twice this year. Right on. Now, yeah, it was a good year. It's in the books. I think I didn't get back here until, I don't know when I got back here. Was it late, like midnight Tuesday? And then I was wiped out Wednesday and Thursday. I'm telling you, that 4 hours of sleep a day for 8 days was just.
Dude, I slept 10 hours the next day. I don't sleep 10 hours ever, right? I slept 10 hours straight, and I woke up feeling just like a bag of crap. Like, oh, I could definitely sleep another 6.
Yeah, it was something else.
And today I took a 2-hour nap, and I don't nap. I don't generally nap. But I'm just still trying to get past it all. I don't know. I think I told you that I left Sykeston, and I only got about 2 hours into my drive, and I had to pull over and take a nap because I was falling asleep at the wheel. Right. I was just worn out.
38 says those servers at Lambert's had their hustle on Thursday for sure. Dallas and I went there to do recon Thursday before the No Name Nationals someday in the summer, and there was nobody there. Yeah, it was just a ghost town, right? So we said, well, this looks like the same time on the same day of the week. This will be a good time. And I got to tell you, I mean, that Thursday crowd is not typical. I mean, we're the ones who bring crowds. So.
Well, I also remember that we asked and we said, hey, can we make reservations for, let's say, 150 to 200 people? They were like, we don't do reservations. You got to come in and then we'll take care of you. And I'm like,
all right.
200 people? And they're like, yep, 200. I'm like, all right, fine. And then we hit them, and they were like, dang, man, I wish you would have called. You know?
We did.
Yeah, we tried. You thought you were going to take care of them.
But big shout out to the owner of Lambert's. He always rolls out the red carpet, is glad to have us. I'm really appreciate them. Very nice folks. Yeah, Ron English took an extra day to unwind before going back to work. Yeah, I can't imagine having to just get in at midnight and get up the next day early and function and hit meetings and stuff. Oh, my goodness. Dallas, you got anything coming up on Mr. Rodder's neighborhood? Like anything's going on in the T-Bird or anything?
Well, I actually did some videos before No Name Nationals. I just didn't have time to edit them and put them up. So I'm going to throw those up where it shows me cutting 3/4 of an inch out of that intake manifold, that tunnel ram, where it was never machined from the factory. And that way I could fit the distributor. And then today I hit the junkyard to get myself some race car parts. And that's a video I'll be putting up here soon. Man, there's a lot of race car parts at the junkyard that people just don't know is there, right? I mean, there is so much stuff on my car that's from the junkyard, that you can't. I'm one of those people that the last thing I'll do is whip out my credit card to get some parts. I try to get the stuff wherever I can otherwise. But today I tried a set of injectors for a L76 LS. Had to be from 2007 to 2009. No bueno, right? I mean, I looked all over the place. I couldn't find any. So I ended up cutting the harness out of a 08 Tahoe and the wiring harness for the injectors. And then, I got my favorite high torque, high power starter for a Buick. They actually come on an LT1 car. So there was an LT1 Cadillac DeVille in the junkyard. And I took the starter off of that sucker, and I got a video coming up that I was going to title How to Be a Junkyard Pro, right? I literally went in there and spent an hour, and I got stuff that would have taken a long time had I tried to do it all at once. And so, yeah, how to be a junkyard pro. I wouldn't say I'm a pro, but I got it down pretty good.
Nick Puts and Mopar is saying last week was the first time I took vacation time in 17 years. Wow, that's hardcore, Mark. Dallas the Junkyard Pro should be a great video. I agree. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
Dallas knows how to shop in the junkyard.
Yeah, and I'd show you some techniques and tactics I use, like building a home base inside of one of the cars. And then you just go get your individual parts and bring them back to the home base.
We got just a few more minutes here in case anybody's got anything.
No, that's
John was making smooth.
That noise is at my house. I'll give you one guess who that is. I'm on a live. Okay, you know.
It's like when I was live from the backyard one day with the road shredder. My neighbor, one day of the entire universe, as he picked to run his leaf blower right then. The Lambert's Cafe has been seen several times over front road. It never goes anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, we're about to wrap it up here. We just wanted to give a debrief weekend and Dallas participant this year getting a race.
What'd you say? You cut out there, John.
How did you enjoy getting to participate as a participant racer this year?
Well, I was kind of in the zone for a little bit. I'll tell you what, Andrew Nelson screwed me up the last round of 28-10-5. I had to race him, and that whole weekend was very emotional for me because everything that's going on in my life, and he said, "Man, you deserve this. I'm not going to give it to you, but you're going to have to earn it." And I'm like, man, I just broke down. And then I went up there and staged the back tires of the car after just getting all screwed up. And I told him, I said, "You got my head." He's like, "I wasn't trying to." I said, "Man, I know you weren't trying to. It's just, all that stuff just got to me all at once." But I was happy to go up there and just not tear the car up. It ended up with a bad fuel pump, which is fine. I have two more. And I use the cheap Bosch 044 pumps that you get off of Porsches. So it doesn't sound like a cheap part, but when I was doing EFI stuff, I was doing EFI before anybody else was doing EFI, right? So there was no A1000 pumps when I started. There was EFI pumps from Excel that were actually off of a Corvette. And those direct replacement Corvette pumps turned into Bosch 044. Which is what they used on the GT3 Porsches. I guess we're not done mixing whatever we're mixing. But so I got a couple more of them, and somebody told me that they don't even make them anymore. So I might actually have to step up to that A1000 one of these days.
Well, thank you guys for all coming out. I guess we're going to wrap up here. Tony's Hot Rod Garage is going to be live right after this. He's going back after taking a short hiatus on his Friday lives to get his truck done and get his No Name Nationals plans together. He's back right after this, and I may drop in and see you there, but I think that's got it. I'll be live again this Friday. Have not planned it yet, have not booked anything yet, but I'm sure I'll be live again this Friday. And you'll be live with Professor P on Wednesday, I'm guessing. Dallas, you'll be live on Wednesday?
I am going to be live. I'm actually looking at some of these chats here on the side. BNR says thanks for the well organized No Name Nationals 2023, John. Got Racing Blues might hit Havana, Illinois, and Cordova soon with the 454 truck. So now he's got bit again by the bug. Tall Garage says the 044 was replaced with the Bosch 200 pump. I did not know that. I need to go look that up. I just thought it was replaced with the 9 bajillion Chinese knockoffs that are out there of the Bosch 044. They're even in a Bosch box, for the love of God.
That would be a good topic. You know what? You should research that and take on that topic on the Wednesday Tech Talk.
What's that? The cheap Chinese knockoffs?
Yeah, right.
Well, what was funny is I went to the junkyard looking for injectors, and I couldn't find any. They were completely gone. Somebody came in there and wiped them all out, right? And I just bought an entire set of Remand ones on eBay that were OEM Remand ones for $147. So that's what I'm going to go after. They're supposed to be 24 pounders with 43 pounds of fuel pressure. That's what I run. So, Tall Garage is saying they discontinued the 044 because of the fakes. Well, that makes sense.
Well, guys, we're going to peel out of here. I will see you guys again Friday. Dallas, you'll see them again, I guess, Wednesday. And we are out. Yep. Thank you all. And numbers coming to the orange paper near you soon. Later.
See you Wednesday.